Sometimes good ideas aren't fully formed when they're put into practice for the first time. The original Steam controller that came out back in 2015 was a uniquely designed gamepad for PC gaming, but it was too awkward to be a mainstay. Still, it had features, namely its haptic touchpads that allow for mouse-like controls that paved the way for how the Steam Deck handles. And in turn, the Steam Deck has now informed this new iteration of the Steam controller. And it feels like that good idea is now reaching its full potential, because after getting my hands on it when I visited Valve last month, I haven't been this excited about a controller in a long time. Let's run through some of the basic specs of the new Steam controller. It uses TMR magnetic sticks to stave off stick drift and keep power consumption low. There are 2 trackpads on the lower part of the gamepad, which can be customized through Steam Input. You get 4 programmable back buttons on the handles, gyroscopic motion controls, HD haptics, and capacitive touch sensors on each handle to detect whether or not you're gripping the controller. And it uses a 2.4 GHz connection protocol through its charging pod for low latency input, and those new Steam machines have connectivity built into them.
Yeah, we're basically using a 2.4 gigahertz protocol. It's a proprietary protocol. What we did is to kind of simplify it and remove as much of the overhead as we can, right? Like, the closest analogous thing would probably be Bluetooth, right? Which is also 2.4. But for us, because we control both transmitter side and the receiver side, we basically have a single use or single profile, right? We can just kind of make it as lean and as simple as possible, remove as much overhead as we can.
Yeah, the polling rate internally is low, but I think our actual real world latency numbers that we're showing is like 80 millisecond, which we consider best in class. I think it's really high performance there. But more importantly, compared to Bluetooth, where the latency gets doubled every time you add a controller, our performance remains consistent even with up to 4 controllers per puck, and then you can add more pucks if you want. So we're really proud of being able to maintain that 8 millisecond effective latency even with multiple controllers. And so that's what the wireless puck protocol is all about.
Despite all these sophisticated technologies packed into the controller, Valve is claiming around 35 hours of battery life from a full charge as well. So it's impressive on paper, if not for the fact that we've never seen a controller do all of these things at the same time. But as someone who's reviewed several high-end controllers at this point, fancy features don't mean much if it isn't comfortable to use. In the short time I got to use the new Steam controller, I can say that it has nailed the ergonomics. It felt natural to hold with contours and substantial grip where you expect them, and it remains fairly light so it doesn't feel like you're holding onto a hulking gamepad. However, more long-term usage in the future will really test my initial impressions. Now you're probably thinking the same thing I did when Valve first showed it to me. This thing isn't exactly pretty. But for what it may lack in aesthetics, it more than makes up for in functionality. And that's what's important for a controller after all. I played about 10 minutes of Cyberpunk 2077 on the new Steam machine with the new Steam controller, and analog stick performance was as good as any major gamepad since the TMR sticks had a smooth and consistent resistance along the full range of motion. The shoulder bumpers are clicky and the analog triggers are smooth on the pull, and I'm a big fan of the back button design as they're placed in a natural position to hit with my middle and ring fingers. They're also easier to actuate than the back paddles that you see on the Steam Deck. Mapping the D-pad and face button actions to them in a game like Cyberpunk lets you keep your thumbs on the sticks without missing a beat. It's the kind of experience you should expect from a premium controller, and it seems Valve is getting that right.
I think there's a lot of people on a desktop PC that will get great use from the new Steam controller as well, because you might be playing games that are controller enabled, but now you're able to, alt tab to your desktop and interact with it in ways that you couldn't really, at least not as comfortably with other controllers, right? And similarly, there's a lot of remote play use cases where you might enjoy the extra inputs, or just being able to just have higher performance aiming, and responsiveness.
Strangely, the more impressive demo I had was with Balatro, the poker-inspired roguelike deck builder. This is because it's a specific use case for the various control styles enabled by the trackpad and gyroscopic motion, and the flexibility afforded by this being built specifically for PC. While the default controller mapping is fine, sometimes it's easier to navigate the interface using the trackpad with my thumb to select cards as if I have a mouse on hand. If you play this game on Steam Deck, this kind of functionality will be familiar to you. Then you can enable gyroscopic motion controls to act as your mouse cursor and have it only activate when the capacitive touch sensors on the handles recognize that you fully grip the controller. You can swap between these control styles and tweak them through SteamOS by hitting the Steam button on the controller and going through the menus. You'll also have access to all the community-built control schemes that are already there and possibly more in the future. On the note of the trackpads, they can also be configured in Steam Input quite easily, and each pad has the ability to act like two separate buttons, like splitting left and right clicks. Their pressure sensitivity and haptic feedback can be tweaked as well, and the capacitive touch of the grips can also be assigned to different kinds of actions, although I didn't have the opportunity to really test these specific features to a greater extent. However, it's the little things like these that make the Steam controller stand out and give you more options for how you play games more than any other controller I've seen thus far. To get to this point though, it took years of iteration, starting with the first Steam controller, then adapting the best parts and seeing that in the Steam Deck, and then even integrating features unique to the Valve Index like gestures and gyros in a way that makes sense for a PC gamepad. And now the software is there as well, with SteamOS being a fuller ecosystem that can make compatibility and customization relatively simple. While this is a controller that was designed in tandem with the Steam Machine to work seamlessly together, all its features work on any PC, of course. The tiny charging puck that easily latches onto the controller magnetically also acts as the wireless receiver for fast input rated at 8 milliseconds.
Say you buy the Steam Machine plus Steam Controller bundle, you're going to have a puck in that bundle, right? And the Steam Machine already includes the receiver in it. So then it opens some interesting options, like the one we're demoing here, where you have the puck by the couch and you can just use it like a charging station while the controller is connected wirelessly. But what I expect a bunch of people will do is they'll connect the puck to their desktop computer, and the pairing information will be on both, and you'll just be able to seamlessly switch the controller between your Steam Machine and the desktop PC you might have without needing to go into any UI or reprogram anything.
It can also handle up to 4 Steam controllers connected to it at the same time. And it works as an iOS Android mobile controller via Bluetooth. With the Steam Deck running SteamOS, it could also be a sensible solution for those who frequently dock their handheld. But like the rest of Valve's new hardware, there is no price set yet. But it is a premium product that will probably demand a premium price, and we won't know until we get closer to launch. I would really like more time with it to really put it through its paces, but given the versatility of its features and the execution of the basics, the new Steam controller could be my go-to PC controller when it launches sometime in early 2026 alongside the rest of Valve's new hardware. Speaking of them, be sure to check out our hands-on previews of the Steam Machine and Steam Frame VR headset, both of which work with the new Steam controller. And for everything else in the world of games and tech, stick with IGN.